Jacob's had to deal with some obstacles in his life, but he's gotten through them. One kick at a time. And so maybe you're thinking I can win this one for Channel 12. Not so fast. I'll be lucky to finish in around an hour and a half. It looks like they're about to sound the gun, so I'm going to take off and head on. I can promise you, you've never seen it quite like this. Let's take a hike. The two of them have a new book out. It's called The World Series in the Dead Ball Era. Steve, this was obviously your brainchild, and I wanted to pick your brain about the creative process behind the book. I'm sure the first thing you're wondering is if it's safe.
The nets are designed to catch tens of thousands of pounds of salmon.
Next, you want to know where it came from, how it got here.
I guess the history starts when I was 12 years old and I happened upon these nets that were up in the forest back in Sitka, Alaska, where I grew up.
This isn't some random contraption in the forest. It's part of a greater plan, and one that Max Reifenstuhl has put a lot of thought into. I want to give you a look of where exactly we are. So back on Wednesday, SOU traveled from campus to the Medford airport and then all the way across the country. The Raiders touched down in Orlando, Florida. If you want to take it up for the first time, it's pretty popular to launch with a tandem instructor. From above the Applegate Valley, Jake Garcia, Newswatch 12 Sports.
The upsets. So did we see any of those today?
Yeah, of course we did, and because of it, this bracket that I have right here, it's no longer perfect, and I should have seen this one coming. Everyone knows in this tournament that teams with star players have a great chance to make a run. 12 seed Murray State has one of their own. His name is John Morant. Well, this is a sad sight, and unfortunately, it's becoming the new normal. High school football Fridays almost entirely smoked out once again here in Southern Oregon. While Fink has been starring at OIT since he was a freshman, Hutchinson started his college career at Western Oregon, 5 hours away. Until he transferred to SOU in 2017, and the bromance was back in business.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
What would you do if your existence became defined by a moment?
And push! Rack!
I don't remember this part of it, but I've had several people tell me that were there in the OR that I was screaming and they could not get me out.
If that moment kept you from doing what you love.
The gym and lifting weights has been one of my hobbies, since I was a kid.
29-year-old Katie Pettinger is a world record-holding weightlifter.
Smile for the camera!
The owner of Ironside Fitness in Brookings, and someone who didn't let her lowest moment dictate the terms of her life. On June 2nd, 2018, Katie crashed while learning how to ride a motorcycle.
This is the handrail that I went through.
She was throttled into the air, hit the back of a truck, and shredded an artery in her right leg, a leg that 7 hours later would have to be amputated.
There was nothing that they could have done, even if it happened right outside the hospital, to save the leg. So it was either my leg or my life.
The accident happened in the parking lot right outside her gym, and Katie took me to the exact spot. Big movements come from dramatic moments, which is why Katie says she doesn't feel a thing when she comes out to the site of the accident.
I find it more fascinating than anything that you can go through something like this and survive it.
The emotional recovery took time, but Katie not only survived, she succeeded. 2 months later, she returned to work at her gym and returned to working out. This April, she competed in the World Association of Benchers and Deadlifters Championships in Portland. Her coach and minister, Edward Yeager, right by her side.
You're dropping the pebble at this meet and watch the ripples. And those ripples will reach out and touch others.
Katie proceeded to break state, national, and world records in both disabled and open classifications.
I was like, okay, here we go. And I lifted it, and I didn't waver, I didn't stumble, I didn't feel like I was gonna fall at all.
She became what's believed to be the first case ever where a woman with one leg performed a deadlift without a prosthetic.
If you were at the meet or you saw the footage of the meet, you would see everyone in the audience in awe.
The competition changed everything. When I went and did that, I've never looked back at regret or frustration in the event of my leg.
Katie wants to be more than just a billboard for inspiration. The process of healing is complicated.
There's a time to mourn and stay in that and let yourself go through it because it's important. Don't ignore it.
But she's reached the other side.
Once it's over, step out of it and don't go back to it.
An outpouring of support from the Brookings community was crucial.
I was blown away. I just, there was so much love. You just, you live in a community your whole life and you don't know who's going to be there for you. And there wasn't not one person that didn't reach out, show up, or give something.
Katie's accident changed her life forever. It also sharpened her outlook.
I am so blessed through all of this to how many people get to see how many people love them.
One strong leg to stand on, one strong message to stand with.
Go. And drive. Easy breezy. Rack.
In Brookings, Jake Garcia, Newswatch 12. Diagnosed with one of the most life-threatening diseases a year ago, his story is about fighting adversity with positivity.
It's like something you can't wake from. It's like you go to sleep with it on your mind. You wake up with it. It's heavy on you all day.
We weren't expecting it, like he was feeling under the weather, and it just kind of came out of nowhere.
I was getting headaches so bad that I couldn't even remember that we watched the movie last night. I'm a guy that's never taken any medication in my life, so I waited all the way until February.
In February of 2017, Matt's wife Beverly convinced him to see a doctor in Portland. After an MRI, the news was even more dire than he thought.
Doctor came in and told me, you got stage 4 gliosarcoma brain cancer. It's really aggressive, and if you don't get it out now, you probably only have 2 to 3 weeks left. And if you do get it out, 3 months would be a good run.
They said 90 days. He had 90 days, so that wouldn't even get to, our son's graduation.
I was thinking, man, life is too beautiful. I am going to fight this battle like better than I could do anything in my life.
So that's exactly what he did, stagnating the most aggressive form of brain cancer with unwavering positivity.
I get angry. I think, why us? I kind of do that sometimes, and then he's always like, look, if this is my path, I have to walk it, and I'm going to walk it well.
Matt got through chemotherapy and radiation. Made it to his son's graduation in May and his 29th wedding anniversary in September. He missed 6 weeks of the 2017 baseball season, but 1 year after the diagnosis, he's coaching like he never left.
Nobody would have blamed him if he said, hey, I need to, take a step back, but he didn't. He just kept on going with his life.
He always talks about living life like a 3-1 count, which means you can swing for the fences. That thing where you have this chance to swing and you fight. You fight until you just don't go down with that fight.
He told us from the beginning that he would beat it, and right now he's looking like he's beating it pretty good.
Believing that you're going to beat it, I think it's the true solution. And so, my thing and my goal is not only this year, but it's future years here too. And I'm recruiting for next year, doing all those things. So the one thing I told him, if I'm wrong, wasn't because of lack of effort.
Doctors have been 0 for 6 in the timetables they've given Matt. He's no longer on any medical treatment, and he tells me his current state is complete belief he's going to beat it. The Black Tornado came into the night on a 5-game winning streak against their crosstown rivals. The North Medford student section always hyped, but this is what happens when they get their hands on the Newswatch 12 GoPro.
The Ducks to continue this.
Well, if it's been a tournament of chalk up to this point, the Oregon men's basketball team represents nails on a chalkboard. When the funeral service for former President George H.W. Bush was held a week ago, a connection to Southern Oregon was instrumental in seeing it through. Former SOU football defensive lineman Curtis Kaufman was among the 9 body bearers tasked with transporting the casket to the hearse. You can see him off to the right, Kaufman in Houston last week for the service of the 41st president. He was also in the same position for John McCain's funeral in September. Now, becoming a body bearer is a highly competitive process. In the military, there are only 15 in the country, and once you're among them, it's your job to bear caskets for Marines, heads of state, and former presidents. Kaufman said in the moment, the only thing on his mind was executing all the preparation and training he's put in, but after time to reflect, he understands and appreciates the significance of the situation.
It was an incredible honor and something, that I never thought I would be in a position where I would be helping to perform a funeral ceremony for a former president. Being stationed here where I'm at in the body bearer section, I don't think there's any better place for me.
He and his position coach, Burke Brown, grew exceptionally close during that period, and the former SOU defensive coordinator made sure to offer his appreciation to his former player.
I messaged him the other day on social media just how proud of him I was and how he's not only representing himself but his family, Southern Oregon University and its football program.
Monday night, Las Vegas against Reno, North Medford against North Medford. That's Brown, class of 2010, homering off Braden Shipley, also the class of 2010. Consider this PCL game localized. It was Brown's 9th home run of the season, going from punting to powder and kicking to kickers. SOU's special teams unit has been working at the mountain since December. A friendship that started on the gridiron has now reached the groomers.
Played against 4 McDonald All-Americans who are stars at the Division I level, who none of them had that kind of skill set.
Louisville, Stanford, Oregon, and Oregon State have shown interest, but they'll have to wait because Donovan Hunter is only 13 years old. A 7th grader at Hedrick Middle School. Her basketball skills are so advanced, her handle's so deadly, she's not allowed to go her hardest when playing against kids her age. Bradley Converse wants his putters to tell a story. The story of the customer, the story of creation. Everything starts at Oregon Burroughs and Merlin.
Ooh, look at that.
Because to make wood putters, you need a wood supplier.
Burls are extremely rare. If you go out in the woods, you probably won't even see one. What happens is it creates a wild pattern in the woods, and when you spray it, which kind of shows what it's going to look like once it's polished, that's absolutely gorgeous. And so we come here to create these blocks. We turn these blocks into the putters.
Southern Oregon softball is headed to the NAIA World Series. A thrilling win over Hope International punches their ticket. This opening round trophy the proof. But it's not all work and no play for Jackson and Marcus. This job allows them some free time to hit a few runs. But in Randy's words, on a wooden board, you just look a whole lot cooler. And for the most part, has gone from innovator to player.